New item request. Processing. Compiling ancestral information. Connecting to astral plane. Assembling DNA. 46% Eastern European. 38% Irish, Scottish, Welsh. 11% Scandinavian. 2% Balkans. Creating birth information. Birth date, March 3rd, 1989. Birth duration, 23 hours. Birth type, Caesarean. Weight, 4,200 grams. Length, 59 centimeters. Configuring personality and quirks. Overly pensive, melancholic, predisposition to like baseball. Ready for birth. Time, 19 minutes after midnight. Birth in 3, 2, 1.
Arsinku, sinečku, tomalisi. Arsinku, sinečku, tomalisi. Tatiček septa, oralisi. Tatiček septa. Oralisi, oral sem oral, alemalo. Oral sem oral, alemalo. Kuleshko sem I was born with a silver spoon. Not as in the proverb. I mean, literally, my godfather gifted me a silver spoon. It had information about my birth size, name, weight.
The mentioning of his birth spoon distracts Nicky from what he meant to continue to say. He is somehow reminded of one of his earliest childhood memories. He remembers how around the age of 4, he was lying in bed thinking about death and trying to imagine what it must be like. He thought it must be similar to what it was like before his birth, but when he tried to recall anything from before his birth, it was as if a large dark abyss opened up beneath him and sucked him in. He felt as if he was eternally falling through a black void.
Hyper.
1. Above, beyond, as in hypermarket.
2. Excessively, as in hypersensitive.
3.
that is or exists in a space of more of 3 dimensions, as in hyperspace.
4. Bridging points within an entity, non-sequentially, as in hypertext. My grandfather was born in Czechoslovakia. In 1996, during the Prague uprising, he fled with his wife and 3 children to Switzerland, where he settled and found work as an engineer, designing prostheses. In 2014, at the age of 92, he tripped, fell and broke his hip. By the time we arrived at the hospital, the doctors had already given up on him. He couldn't speak and had already shrunk to a skeletal figure. I took on the night watch, and I stayed by his bedside, singing and praying. The next day, my grandfather woke up and, to great astonishment, asked for a beer. He downed it in one gulp and came back to life. Within a couple of days, he was able to go back home. Still frail and sitting in a wheelchair, my grandmother would push him out onto the balcony. And every day, to great astonishment, a little sparrow would land on his shoulder for the next couple of weeks.
I find that very hard to believe.
Nicky does not know what to do. He knows what he saw, but he also thinks it is strange that the photos and video recordings of this event have somehow all disappeared. He contemplates trying to explain how there are other witnesses, but is interrupted by the call of a mourning dove.
A mourning dove, as in mourning, like being sad because something has passed. Why, that reminds me of when I was a little boy. I always wanted to be a professional baseball player. I'm going to spare you the details of why I think baseball is the most exciting sport in the world. But there was this one remarkable event that happened many years ago.
famous moments in baseball history occurred when Arizona Diamondbacks pitcher Randy Johnson hit a bird with a pitch. During a spring training game on March 24, 2001, Johnson's 96 miles per hour fastball struck and killed a dove that swooped across the infield after Johnson released the pitch. There are more Google search results for Randy Johnson bird than there are for Randy Johnson baseball. Hey Google, Randy Johnson bird.
Dusk.
To become dark.
To make dark or gloomy.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever come back, 'cause it's root for the home team. If they lose, it's a shame, 'cause it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
Nicolas thinks about his other Hyperdusk experience, about how for his 29th birthday he went to a techno club with his best friends and started spinning in a circle like the whirling dervishes he so admired, only that instead of meditating he'd taken a huge line of horse ketamine and abruptly stopped, which then led to all of his chakras jumping out of alignment and an all-encompassing black void from which he awakened later to find that his blurred field of vision was slowly being painted white, with long horizontal brush strokes, while a voice was talking to him, asking whether he now understood that everything is Maya, i.e. illusion, and whether he was ready to leave this plane of existence for a higher dimension, upon which he said,
No. I would now like to sing a song for you that my grandmother taught me.
We program the mind to count me out this time. Isn't up time yet? I'm coming round now. It's early in the morning. What happened to the day? I slept too long. It seems waiting for a song of a lifetime. A song will make me rich and famous. Never have to work in my lifetime, so I can keep feeling guilty and writing songs about my guilt.